Hello there. Tonight, the video I'm going to make is going to be about Vice News and their recent video clip that they have just released. It has about 100,000 views already, and it was released yesterday. The title is Incel Shitposts Are Making People Nervous About the Joker Premiere. In this little snippet that they did, they mentioned Elliot Rogers, some douchebag who was an incel whom I don't know much about, don't care to know, and whoever that Aurora, Colorado Batman premiere shooter was, the guy with the orange hair. They are typically brought up in videos demonizing people who are involuntary celibates. And don't get me wrong, as I've said before, I am not interested in this conversation at all. I feel the need to have a rebuttal to this video that Vice News has released, and this is what it's going to be. They cited a bunch of anonymous sources as basically the shit posters that are supposed to be involuntary celibates. Let's get some things straight. For starters, most people who claim to be involuntary celibates and are showing any form of anger, aggression, violence, any of those sort of tendencies are not actually involuntary celibates at all. They are bureaucrats pretending to be that. And this woman who did this little this snippet, I guess they might make a short documentary about it or whatever. Tess Owen is a fraud and a phony, and a lot of people think that on the internet it's always men pretending to be women, but it's actually the other way around just as often when you're dealing with bureaucrats. They don't have a problem poking the bear, so to speak, or antagonizing vulnerable people. And the way they do it is quite sickening. I've seen their pathetic attempts at trying to manipulate me. I cut ties with any of those things on the Facebook. Right now, as with everyone, most people get their information, some of their information at least, on social media. However, I was getting a repetitive, monotoned way of speaking that was supposed to eventually, over time, change the way how I think, except it was done in such a pathetic manner that it flat out didn't work. It never will work. But anyway, I cut my ties with those sort of groups on Facebook, which are not actually the way that Tess Owens describes them as. This Joker premiere, I highly, highly, highly doubt anything will happen out of the ordinary. It's a movie. They're afraid that it might develop a cult personality and, a cult following, and that this new version of the Joker, played by Joaquin Phoenix, which is visibly, he looks similar to Heath Ledger's Joker, but obviously it's a different movie, different story, and Batman probably isn't going to have a big role in it. I do intend on watching that movie in theaters. Everything in theater seems a little bit better. However, it's important to note that the spread of misconceptions and lies are a repugnant thing. It doesn't matter why people do it. It's simply, it's one of those things that's the rotten core of society. And it does get irritating to listen to, because what is society to start with? Here, I live in Canada, and let me tell you some things about Canadians. Canadians are cunts. They're cunts on all levels. This bogus image is exactly like Tim Hortons and how everyone thought it was a Canadian company. No, that was a lie. That was a packaged pack of bullshit. And this whole thing that Canadians are always smiling, they're opening doors for people, they let people in front of them, they're this, that, and the other, they say please and thank you, and that kind of crap. It's all a load of shit. Canadians are just as bad of assholes as anybody. And in this little snippet that Vice has brought up, they keep saying, involuntary celibates, gun control, this is an American problem. Are you deranged? Like, seriously, are those people deranged? Yeah, like, things are hunky-dory in South America or Africa, and then people go, well, that doesn't count because they're developing worlds. Well, okay, well, what about Russia? Is everything hunky-dory over there? I doubt it. What about Asia, where people just disappear and lose their organs? Yeah, that's a great place, too. Or what about Europe and everything fucked up going on there with the migrants? And, Canada's not that great a place either, man. You go to places like in British Columbia, little colorful places called Surrey, and you'll know all about Canadian manners. These people. And Vice, they had a few good episodes, and that was it. And they've rode off that success since then. I don't even know how much Shane Smith has to do with this documentary channel anymore. And he was the only one who had any good documentaries with him. And he only had a handful of them, too. However, as I said, it's got about 100,000 views already. Or did I say that in a video I deleted because it wasn't very good? I might have said it then. But I'm saying it now anyway. It has nearly 100,000 views, and it came out yesterday. And I'm sick of these types like Mark Kelly's, Diana Swain's. Like, all they want to do is point the finger at, white men, specifically, because it caters to their political ideology. Because Mark Kelly is obviously a $3 bill. And, these problems that they say are today's problems and things like that, they've always been problems. And they're not actually interested in solving those problems. I'd rather they fester. Like, a disgusting boil or something like that. And it's a never-ending hamster wheel spinning around, and they don't want to actually solve the problems. They act like they do, but they don't. They're the ones who perpetuate this stuff. They're the ones who zero on people who are social undesirables for whatever reason, and they bully them into doing what they want, whatever it is they want out of them, which is mostly to push them out of society's way, or who knows what. And there are people who believe in the do-gooders and this superhero mentality and all that sort of stuff, and it's like, no, you're not. You can pretend you're Captain America all you want, but at the end of the day, Captain America is not always so Captain America. And this Joker premiere, the Joker movie, I think it might be alright. I think that there might be nothing wrong with it. It's simply another movie. It's probably got a lot of flack because of Heath Ledger's version of the Joker, and we know how he was really into knives and things like that. They're probably going to downplay that into this movie, because obviously there are people with mental illness who have that sort of problem. However, the Joker movie is simply a movie. People do what people do because that's who they are anyway. And You know, what solution have they come up with? Are they gonna, track people, target people, and if they have the slightest inclination that they're social undesirable, are they gonna put them in a place? That's what it sounds like. It sounds like the government, what it wants to do is simply just grab people, cherry pick them at will. And then you wonder who's at the top of this fucking pyramid making those kind of decisions and why. Because most involuntary celibates can be talked out of any anger that they have. You spend enough time causing people to be angry, giving them reasons to be angry, but you don't spend any time trying to talk them out of being angry. And then when the negative consequences of that do occur, if they occur, I'm under the impression, the likes of Mark Kelly, Tess Owens, Diana Swain, that's what they want. Any problem with society is almost promoted, publicized. Well, it is. And they do this to what end? I have no fucking clue. There's no rationale between what they do, except foreign government interference in our, social political scene. Because let's face it, in the tens of thousands of people in Asia commit suicide because their lives are hopeless, because they're, manufacturing toasters and screwing heads on Barbie dolls and things like that for a living. And, do they really care that a few white people shit themselves and, contribute nothing to society except bad? I don't think they give a damn. I really don't. But anyway, I'm going to keep this video to a minimum. I don't want it to reach the 15-minute threshold because then people might lose interest in watching it. So anyway, this Vice video clip, it's only 3.5 minutes long, so, my video is already 4 times as long as that. Don't believe what people say on the internet, and don't believe mainstream documentary channels. They lie. I can see them lying. And as I've said many a time, I do not like making these type of videos, and I don't feel the need to rebuttal every time I see something, but there's got to be a point to all this. And there has to be someone who says, no, you're wrong, and this is why you're wrong. If anyone would listen, anyway. Who knows? They will, because they're paranoid sort of people. And they like to, demonize people simply because they can. I guess that's how they get their jollies. Who knows? Anyway, gonna leave it at that. I'll talk to you people later. Have a good one.